This is Exclusive Powers Shadow Guide to Infiltration DPS. Alright, let's take a look at our talents. We're going to grab Applied Force 2 of 2. This is going to increase your Clairvoyant Strike damage by 6%. We're going to grab 3 of 3 in Infiltration Tactics. With direct damage attacks have a 30% chance to grant Find Weakness. With this buff, it's going to make your Shadow Strike ignore 50% of the target's armor, and it's also going to make Shadow Strike cost 50% less force. However, it can only occur once every 10 seconds. That's why you don't ever see me spam Shadow Strike. I only use it when I have the buff. With Shadow Respite, we're going to grab 2 of 2, so that anytime you exit stealth for 6 seconds, you'll have a 50% force regeneration increase. Misdirection, we're going to grab 3 of 3 for an effective stealth level of 3, which makes us harder to see, and a movement speed increase by 15% while in stealth, which just makes you that much faster. With Security Breach, we're going to grab 2 of 2, which reduces the cooldown of Force Breach by 3 seconds, and it's going to allow you for maximum damage output. Circling Shadows, we're going to do 2 of 2, which makes your Shadow Strike do 30% more critical damage. It also makes your Clairvoyant Strike have a 100% chance to give you the buff Circling Shadows, as long as Shadow Technique is active. It also reduces the force cost of your next project by 25%, and it also stacks up to 2 times, meaning that your next project spell could be 50% less force cost. We're going to grab Shadow Technique, which allows you to assume a Shadow Technique and gives your attacks a 25% chance to deal an additional 263 damage that does scale with your gear. This means that this can crit for roughly anywhere between 800 to 1200 depending on how good your gear is. However, it cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. So just make sure that you are using your abilities and this will work for you. We're going to grab Master Stall as well, which allows you to use Blackout outside of stealth. It also gives you 10 force instantly when using Blackout and grants the buff Shadow Respite, which allows you to regenerate 50% force for 6 seconds even while outside of stealth. It also allows you to Force Cloak and still receive all healing and not have the 100% healing debuff put on you. We're going to grab Vigor as well, which gives you 10 total force, making your total force go from 100 to 110. We're going to grab Subduing Techniques 2 of 2, which increases the duration of your Force Flow and reduces the cooldown of Force Flow by a total of 6 seconds, meaning that you can use the ability 6 seconds earlier and it also lasts 6 seconds longer. This is crucial to keeping enemies close to you or dealing just a little bit of extra damage if they're trying to run away. Jumping over to Fade, we're going to grab Fade 2 of 2, which lowers the cooldown of Blackout by 15 seconds and Force Cloak by 60 seconds. Putting Blackout at a 45-second cooldown to get 10 force and 50% regeneration rate, and Force Cloak by 60 seconds, putting it at a cooldown of 2 minutes, allowing you to escape from the heat of battle if needed. Next up is Profoundity, and when we grab this, we're going to go 3 of 3. Basically, it makes your Shadow Techniques have a 100% chance to grant you 10 force, so anytime it deals damage, you will gain 10 force. However, it can't occur more than once every 10 seconds. Shadow Techniques on a 1.5 second cooldown, so basically every 10 seconds you will be getting 10 force, and add that to Blackout, which is going to give you 10 force as well. That's on a 45-second cooldown. You shouldn't really have too many force issue problems with this build. Exit Strategies next with 2 of 2. Anytime your Shadow Technique deals damage, you have a 100% chance to formulate an exit strategy. It increases your damage of your next Shadow Technique's Force Breach by 6%, and it does stack up to 5 times. So at 5 stacks at 6, you're looking at 5 times 6, which is 30% increased damage just alone, just by getting 2 of 2 in exit strategy. This is a must. Moving on to Low Slash, this is important as well. This is a great utility skill. It does do a little bit of damage, but it does incapacitate the target for 4 seconds as long as they don't take any damage. So this is great for 1v1s and 1v2s or setting up for a quick burst. It is on a 15-second cooldown. It does only require 30 force, and it has a little bit of a range of 4 meters. So this is a great skill. Next up is Deep Impact. We're going to go 5 of 5. It does increase your critical strike damage dealt by your next Force Breach or project by 50%. So getting Deep Impact 5 of 5 is very important to this build, as we are trying to do a burst damage, and project and Force Breach are our main 2 abilities that we are going to be using for damage. Next up is Clairvoyant Strike. This is our main use ability. It's what we're going to be using most of the time. With this ability, it does strike the target for anywhere from 900 to 1300 depending on your target's gear and your gear, obviously. Each use of this ability, however, is the most important thing. It does increase the damage of your next project by 15%, and it does stack up to 2 times. So add this Clairvoyant Strike 2 stack, which is 30% increased damage on your next project and a 50% increased damage from impact. you're looking at a total of 80% extra damage just alone on your next project and force breach. So this is extremely huge. This is the most important skill that you can have. Moving on to balance, we're going to go force synergy 3 of 3, which anytime you use a force spell and it crits, you're going to get 9% extra crit towards any melee attacks for the next 10 seconds. This is crucial so that Clairvoyant Strike is critting and not doing 600 to 700 damage, but that you're doing 1300 damage. Jedi Resistance 2 of 2 just reduces any damage that you take by 2%. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but over the course of a full war zone, if you take 200,000 damage, you're actually reducing quite a bit of damage. And the last most important talent that we're going to grab is Upheaval, and we're going to put 3 of 3 in it. What it's going to do is it's going to make your next project have a 45% chance to cast an additional project that deals 50% of the normal damage. So this is where the rest of your burst comes into play. With 2 projects coming at them, they're going to hit for roughly, mine hit for 4,800 and my second one hits for about 2.3k, and then Force Breach hits for about 4,300 as well. So you're looking at, without any other procs, about 9,000 points of damage. Your Shadow technique can crit as well for another 1,300 points of damage, which is going to put you around the 10 to 11k, depending on your target's gear. And that sums up our talents. This has been Exclusive Powers Shadow DPS Guide, where living life on the edge can be just a little fun.